Ok, probat ću ovak. Ok, 5 do 5. Mislim da možemo početi. Prebacujem se na engleski. Hello and welcome. Welcome to our talk and thank you for joining. I know it's quite late and I think a lot of people have already left. So Jurica and Marija, we would like to share some experience how to do software development in a remote way. So let's jump to agenda. At the beginning, something about us. Personally and company, then motivation, why to go remote. And then some company strategies, some team strategies, how we do it, and some technical requirements, how to do successful remote work. So as you can see, this is Marija on the right. She's quite happy working remotely, but from our office in Zagreb. And this is me in home office that day, also quite happy. So we work as software developers for Comsisto Reply. So Comsisto is a company originally with headquarters in Munich, in Germany. But currently we have offices in 4 countries, 9 cities. And there we have like 12 locations. So we as a Comsisto are part of Reply Group from 2017, Mario, right? Yeah, okay. So we do the development in different branches like banking, car industry, retail, and so on. So the motivation, why to go with remote approach in working? So it's quite popular, and I believe it will be in upcoming years. So let's see from different perspective. If you are an employee, quite cool is that you can work from location that really fits you. For example, at our company, we sometimes work from home office. Some people go, I don't know, for a few days to the coast and want to work from there and then continue with vacation. So why to stick them to the office location? So basically, there are also people moving to hometowns, and the company established the offices there, which is also quite cool. Then we have people who actually relocated for example, to Vienna, one from Zagreb and one from Munich, and there was office founded there, which is also cool. They didn't change the company; they wanted to stay with the same company. So when working with a really remote team, you meet people also from different countries and cultures, which is quite cool. I have been working with the people from, I don't know, India, Germany, Austria, Morocco, France, and they bring really interesting things in this everyday work. So if you are an employer or a client, you have a really wider market of partners. You can access more talents, and you can have more productive and happier employees. Because personally I have been doing this remote work for 3.5 years and feeling happier and with less stress than before when I was working for the local projects. And optimize costs. You know that some markets are more budget friendly and some are not. And so I will give the microphone to Marija. She will tell you something about company strategy.
Okay, so when it comes to company strategy, first of all, before your company becomes remote friendly, you will probably have to prepare carefully and know the people that work for you. And I mean, you have to get into their heads because, there are many advantages, as Jurica described, of remote work. And there will immediately be some fans of this transition. And, people will already start planning 365 days from their home offices a year. And some will plan to relocate to some Adriatic island. But there will also be people who will hate the idea. So yeah, that's okay because they joined your company before this transition and, well, they have their opinion. That's okay. There will be people who are fine with both. And there will be people who are fine with both until they're not. Because actually, before they try it out, they might not know if they want to do that or not. So you should start with an open discussion in your company and see what people really think about it. And, well, explain to them what you expect from them. If you start with conducting surveys, you might learn that statistics are like bikinis. They show a lot, but they hide everything that's significant. So maybe those people, the blue ones here in the pie chart, who say that they absolutely can imagine working in a distributed team actually meant, well, I can imagine working from my home office once a week, and that's not the same. So go get out there into your company and talk to the people. You will also have to know your clients, and maybe you're lucky, so you work for some multinational corporations which already know about remote work, have many distributed teams, and they will get on board with you immediately. And even there is a good thing about it because they can teach you how to do this transition smoothly. But if you don't have such clients, you can stick with those who are the most flexible and those where you have already built mutual trust with. And if you have clients which might not be that flexible, then maybe don't push it because you will invest a lot of time, money, and energy, and maybe end up with dysfunctional team setups and unhappy people. But whatever you do, just be clear to communicate to those clients what you're up to before the project starts. Okay. Yes, okay, sorry. You will also have to invest into education and hardware and software. And when I say invest in education, I mean not only buy people books, pay for courses, and get coaches, but give them time to learn by their own and explore for themselves. And when I say get them proper equipment, you have to know that the rule is be cheap and you lose. So you will have to get a proper headset for every person. You will have to get a good camera for every person. You will have to pay for licenses for all the cool tools, which will make your distributed teams more productive. And one thing that you don't have to invest in my personal opinion and our experience in the company, is that, really expensive, fancy equipped meeting rooms are not what you need. Okay. Okay. I think I skipped something. So everybody's recruiting nowadays, and you want to be transparent when recruiting. When you write your ads, you will have to tell people that you are a company which has distributed teams, and tell them what that is about, how that works actually. And when you invite people to interviews, you will have to take your time to explain to them what they can expect, because you don't want surprises and people coming to your company and then realizing that that's not what they thought they have signed up for. When a new project is coming up, you will have to define the setup, and that means usually say which the official language of such a project will be, and explain how often people will co-locate, because when you have distributed teams and do nearshoring, then it often happens that people gather at the same place now and then, and you will have to define the frequency of those co-location and also the location where they will gather. It's also good to say which hardware and software you will use on such a project, because it gives some information about the setup which can be expected. This slide is called Guidelines to the People, and you should really write down some guidelines for two reasons. The first reason is you're very transparent. If you do it, you explain exactly what you expect from people joining distributed teams. And the second reason is if you have best practices written down, then the quality of such teams gets better, increases. And also you don't want every team to invent the wheel itself. but you want to give them guidelines, just like you want let every team to decide if they want to do continuous integration or if they want to use versioning control systems. So just pay respect to best practices as well. Okay, so what about semi-distributed teams? You all know about on-site or co-located or local teams like this one, everybody at the same place. You know about distributed teams where everybody is in a different location, and there are semi-distributed teams, and those teams are actually most of our teams in the company. So when it comes to such teams, there are actually two perspectives. The perspective of the left side of the team and the perspective of the right side of the team. And the perspective of the left side of the team will have to change and adjust and improve, because you cannot have conversations around your water cooler anymore. You have to do it in your chat client, and you will have to pair up for peer programming with people who are remote and not sitting next to you. And if there are meetings which remote people cannot attend, then it's up to you to, fight for those people to have them in the meetings. It gets very interesting when the right side of the team is the minority, and then you will have to grow a culture of correctness towards that minority. And that's because in discussions about the setup of this team, those people on the right side might get outnumbered, and you don't want that to happen. Jurica?
Thank you, Marija. Yeah. So how we do it? So from the team's perspective, we really gain that transparent and open communication. I think that's coming from the mindset. Of course, can be trained, but when you have people not sitting next to each other, then it's quite hard to share the relevant informations and have informations available to all team members if they're not put in the communication tool. So if you discuss, as Marija said, in front of the water cooler or in the kitchen or in the hall, that will not get to all the team members. Also, use the collaboration tools. Basically, all the relevant data should be written there. It's also important for local teams, not for distributed teams and remote teams. But you can imagine how important that is. So it's really important to be transparent. Proactivity. We actually ask these people already on the interview how would they handle some situations where proactivity is required, because, as I said, you're not sitting with people in the same room. So you have this physical distance, and basically you will need to pull the work most of the time, and because you want to be the equal team member, not the guy who is picking the leftovers from the backlog or task list. So that's really, really important, but it's also coming from the mindset. So people are proactive or not, but it can be, with change and motivated people to become proactive. So trust and respect in all directions, it's really important, because to start some job with the customer should have a trust and in the team and should respect them. Also the vice versa. So we need to respect for customer wishes, and we need to provide what's better for them. But yeah, they are the people who decide on priorities and so on. So, and at the end, respect between team members, because most of the time you will work with your team members, not with the customer. Maybe you will show the customer some kind of delivery result in 2 or 3 weeks, but you will work with team members every day. So it's really important to have respect between the team members. So some experience and practice we came up with. So don't take the trial and error approach. So there are a lot of resources like blog posts, talks, and articles and books. So basically, read them, change the experience with others, because how we do it in our team. So we try to exchange the experience with other teams inside of the company. We will adjust what is the best for us, but it doesn't have to be a universal answer for all of you. So, as someone in previous talk said, there's no some golden rule, but we hope that you will come up with some of the advices we gave you.
Okay, so being agile is, in my personal opinion, even more important in distributed teams than in on-site teams. And when I say, yeah, you need to be agile, I mean, go get that Agile Manifesto, read the 12 principles, and implement them as much as you can. If Scrum is applicable for your team, then please do apply it. Because you will have the huge advantage of having a Scrum Master who will remove the impediments which will come from a distributed team setup. You will also have ceremonies, so let's say meetings where you will be inspecting and adapting. Especially during the retrospective, you will improve your process. So in the end, whatever you do, it would be really good to have one person whose job is to remove impediments and have a retrospective, which is recurring at least every 2 or 4 weeks. So, this is my colleague Željko, and he's in a call with my colleague Marko. And the question is, why is Željko so sad? Because his colleague Marko did not turn on his camera, does not use his headset, has a terrible connection. Sta parlando in italiano, had a meeting Željko did not know about, did not join the meeting on time, or all of the above. And since Željko today is really sad, well, the correct answer is all of the above. And this is how we get to the topic of technical prerequisites.
So, how many of you remember those times when we were connecting with a modem to internet and we were not able to use the phone line at the same time? Yeah, I'm glad to see so many hands. And yeah, don't save your money on your internet package. Basically, what we did when we increased the number of employees, we also increased the package. And we were in the calls where other sides were like, okay, our connection is not working. Then debugging of connection problems was in place, and you really don't want to do that. So this is a picture from our company. What do you think? What are they doing?
Listening to music.
No, playing. No. So they're in the call. They have, I think, daily meeting. It seems a bit awkward, but they use the headsets, and that was a much better solution for them than standing in front of the some audio device. I don't want to mention brands now. So our experience is that it's more productive with headsets.
You don't have a problem with such a setup that when one person talks, you hear them in the headsets also, and you hear them directly.
Yeah, we try to invest a little bit more money in headsets, which are isolating the noise. So there are some discussions which one is the best. So I think we have like 1 or 2 which are people using and buying. So, but yeah.
Because this is the worst.
Yeah, I know.
Situation, you have to mute something where you cannot hear something with the latency of 2 seconds and then something directly.
Yeah, correct. I forgot my headset when I was on business trip, and I used my phone in-ear headphones, and this was terrible. I was able to hear people next to me through the call and just through the air, and it's terrible. So, who are those people? I really also don't know. I think that was some meeting at the beginnings where people were sitting in a dark room. I think there was a lot of sun inside, and they were like in a video meeting. And I believe the microphone is somewhere here, and I can guarantee you that you won't hear anything from the guy at the end of the table. So we are trying not to have such meetings. So this is much better. Everyone looks happy here. So I think they all have like equal window to the meeting, and that's something we are actually keen to have in all teams. So this is some kind of the evolution of semi-distributed team. I was in one meeting a few weeks ago where one guy, it's the external guy who wanted to present something to our team. He was drawing on the whiteboard, and we have a camera in the whiteboard, and we were not able to see anything until one person started to sync the whiteboard with some shared screen. So people in the remote location are quite with a lot of question marks. So this is a bit better when you share the screen so people in the remote location can see it. Here are like 2 audio devices where you can hear people regardless of location around the table, which is better than this first picture, but we are also not so keen to go with this, except there's no possible solution with having this. But at the beginning we were like the middle picture, and at the end we now use the headsets, and it's quite easier to communicate. Even it looks really, really strange when you're talking to people next to you through the headsets. And there's some alternative to go like vice versa, but we are staying at the one at the right top corner. So yeah, that will be all for me, and Marija will continue.
Okay, so you want to make your office communication virtual, and what are you going to do? You will use a chat client, and you will communicate there. You will set up some important status notifications. You will add reminders for some meetings. You will tell people that there is some pull request open, which is waiting, and you will ask questions, you will start discussions, but keep in mind that sometimes it's better to start a call and not discuss everything in written communication. You will also want to keep your discussions away from the water cooler. So for your problem-solving sessions and your knowledge transfer sessions, it's probably the best to have a dedicated channel where you announce such a session, then you start a call so everybody can join, and maybe you even record that session because it can be useful for future colleagues joining the team and stuff like that. When it comes to meeting tools, we use Slack, Appearin, and GoToMeeting, and we have started lately considering to test Zoom. When you choose such a meeting tool, you will have to, of course, have the option of a video call, of an audio call, of screen sharing, maybe with interaction from people who are not sharing, some integrated chat. And you will have to pay attention to the maximum number of attendees, which these tools allow, and if there is a chance to have meetings in parallel. So we use GoToMeeting for all employee meetings because there can be more than 100 people, depending on the license you get. And we use Appearin for parallel meetings for teams up to 12 people. It's also important to think about if this meeting tool of yours is going to work on all operating systems, so that's why we recommend these. There are some meeting rules we would like to share, so when you decide to have a meeting, even if it's with one person who's not sitting next to you, create a calendar invite and put those people in it, write down an agenda so people know what the meeting is about, and paste the link to the meeting tool you're using so people know where to join once the meeting is starting. Meetings should also be time-boxed, so it's important that they start on time and on time. Also, breaks should be time-boxed. And if you are using tools which we did not mention here, you might want to join the meeting earlier because there might be some updates, and that takes time. For pair programming, we use Slack, where one person shares the screen and the other person uses the drawing tool, also known as the pencil icon, and that works actually pretty good. Some of my colleagues use Visual Studio Code, which is also very cool because you can collaborate in real time. And those other tools mentioned here, like Fluebits, and those others are for you to explore if you like. So for peer review, we use GitHub or Bitbucket, and For our backlogs and Scrum boards, we use Jira, and for other documentation, we use Confluence. And when it comes to retrospectives, we use quite a lot of tools. It depends on the moderator in my team, which tool we will use for which retrospective. And I picked 3 of them. So Retrium is a really nice tool if you are just starting to moderate retrospectives because, well, it leads you through the process really nicely. You can also try using it in a team that's not distributed if you want to, well, practice how to do retrospectives. It has 4 fixed templates. But if you want to have your own templates, you will probably use Real-Time Board, which is really popular with some of our Scrum Masters in the company. And I think people like this one because it looks like a whiteboard with Post-its, like a physical board. And you can also use it for other things like personas, user story mapping, and stuff like that. There are like tons of templates which Real-Time Board provides. And my personal favorite is Trello, although it's not intended to be a retrospective board. It has this neat and tidy structure, and at the same time you can create your own template, like this Christmas template I created last year. And so it depends on you which one you will choose. But there's one major takeaway from this story, and that's that if you have action items coming out of a retrospective, you want to have them in Jira or other tools which you use, because if those action items are far from the eyes, they're also far from the heart. Yeah. And that's all from us for today. If there are some questions, we have 5 more minutes left. There will be prizes for those who ask questions, like souvenirs from our company. Okay.
Have you ever considered using something other from Slack? Something else other than Slack? Like Rocket Chat or something like this? Or Skype?
Well, I will not... do you want to answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
We kind of use a mix of Skype for Business. That's regulated by our partner, actually. To be more specific, by our customer. And some meetings are there, but I think several team members having some Linux distribution have a problem with joining the meetings, not sure why. So, and before, we used, in another project, we used HipChat, but somehow Slack provides us more possibilities, because we used HipChat and then another tool for meetings, and here with Slack is one solution which provides us both if there are now other requirements. More questions? So,
It's simply better, that's the answer to his question. Because Microsoft
Okay.
even have problems with their product with the different variables. I had also problems with that, then we fall back to using web clients, so then you are almost sure that you will connect to another Skype for Business.
that was also failing.
Yeah.
Try that.
I mean, you have the similar step. If you are really oriented to Microsoft, you can use Teams, Microsoft Teams. You have video, audio chats. You have textual chats. You can organize everything in topics. You also get automatically, I'm not talking about Office 365. You also get automatic SharePoint sites where you can store deposit documents, but it depends on what are you used to.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask another question. What is, in your opinion, the overhead of working distributed? That's what I'm interested in. And if you can choose, you will say, okay, I will distribute this team because I have possibility to do it, or I will keep the team in one place because I have enough developers or whatever members of teams I need, and I can choose if they will be from a distributed or a single location. What will you do then?
Okay, so if I would have the same, let's say, 8 people who could work on site or be a distributed team, then there are actually studies which say, well, the team would be more productive if working on site. But you never have that situation. So if you can choose between some on-site team with 8 people, you might not get those kinds of experts you can get if letting people from remote locations join the team.
Do you have any kind of estimation? What is the overhead of coordinating distributed team? Is it 10% of the time, 20? Do you have any numbers based on your experience?
But I'm convinced that it goes down with time. At the beginning, you need a lot of time to coordinate that, but when time is going, then the team is more mature, and basically the team is handling most of the syncing things and mobilization things. So it's going down.
It happens in my experience, and I know you said you need the trust between team members and everything like that, but what really happens in real life is us and them. And what happens with the talks by the water cooler is, well, we talk about that. If I have to then write it somewhere else, maybe then I choose not to talk about that because I'm too lazy to write it somewhere else. So you have those things in the distributed team that can, by the human nature, prevent you from being successful in the distributed team.
But that can happen
Yeah.
also in a whole team.
Yes, but you don't have to write anything if you can talk with somebody next to you and say, discuss some feature or whatever you need, or maybe not a feature, but the development decision on how something can be implemented. It's the same outcome, but how it is implemented.
Now I need to type it somewhere. So
Yeah,
if
you have to
talking
make
someone,
yourself do that.
Yeah, but
It's the overhead for you.
no, it's not. I'm not looking in that way. It's not an overhead.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in our company,
As I said, mindset.
in our company, you have people who have been working in such teams for years. So new people who join the teams or new teams that are formed will learn from them. So it will get easier with every new team. Of course, there will be some problems at the beginning, maybe. Although my first project was so well tweaked already. But what else did I want to say? Are there any more questions? Okay.
So in your presentation, you had 3 different scenarios. You had them all working in the office, then you had one where some of the people are around a meeting table and some are working from home, and then you had your scenario where you're all separated on your different machines. What are the benefits between the second image and the third image? Because in my experience, it's nicer to have everyone face-to-face and talking around the table. I mean, you had the problem with microphones and stuff, but if you have sufficient microphones, what is the advantage of individually having a meeting on lots of computers as opposed to being in a meeting room with everybody?
With the solution, when you have the microphones, it happened that we were not able to hear people. So we are not possible to have people around the table all the time. We do that like every 2 months when we travel to Germany, but. Well, how to say it? When you see people on the camera, then you see when someone is talking something. But when we have people around the table, then like 2 people are doing some discussions there away from the microphone, and then we are not able to hear that, and then they jump in with something. So that's the reason why I prefer to have like equal opportunity to all of the people in the meeting.
I had that situation where I was this remote part of the team, and they were sitting there in the meeting room in Munich, and I felt so left out because I would get overheard or seen. I could not hear them really good, and I could not recognize who's talking sometimes if you don't. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for.